Hi, everyone. Well, if you're in an old-fashioned mood like I am, the choice of the spirit to go into that old-fashioned is an important one. And typically, the spirit that's used in an old-fashioned is bourbon and whiskey. However, there are also rum old-fashions, I've had vodka old-fashions, and tequila old-fashions, all of which I've made here. But typically, the majority of old-fashions made use bourbon or other types of whiskey. And an old fashioned is a spirit forward drink. So the type and choice of bourbon and whiskey that you put into that old fashioned, I feel, is an important one. Now, if you're in a restaurant or a bar and you order an old fashioned and you don't specify the type of bourbon or whiskey that you want in that old fashioned, typically they'll give you an old fashioned that uses one of about 4 different types of bourbons. Maker's Mark, Buffalo Trace, Woodford Reserve, which I don't have here, and the regular version of this Bulleit bourbon. Basically, those are the 4 that I've seen. There are others, but typically you'll find a Maker's Mark Old Fashioned, not the 46. That would be typically you'd specify that. There were some that do the Buffalo Trace, and I said Woodford Reserve is very common. I've seen in a lot of restaurants, and of course the regular version of the Bulleit bourbon, not this barrel strength. And these are all, if you notice this, the commonality there is those are all around 90, 91 proof. That's typically what they would use. If you don't specify, it's usually one of those, and depending on the place. If you do specify, it depends on certainly what they have. I'm a little bit, different than maybe somebody who doesn't know what type of bourbon or whiskey they want there. They just order the drink. A lot of times I'll specify Maker's 46 Old Fashioned, or if there's a certain bourbon or whiskey I see, and I'll look usually at the bar, maybe I'd have that put in there. Well, let's stick with this one for a minute. Bulleit bourbon is a bottle that I've said on the regular 90 proof, 91 proof, whatever that is. I thought it really was good in a cocktail. Not as much that I don't think it's that good as drinking it neat. I think that's definitely good in a cocktail, like I said, but just I don't think it's great neat. This one I reviewed a couple of weeks ago, a week ago, whatever it was, and I thought it was a little bit better than the regular 90 proof neat, but still I think it's better as a mixer. But certainly this was improvement over that. So I'm thinking about when I've ordered a Bulleit Old Fashioned and also Bulleit Manhattan. I've had that too because of the rye forwardness. It works good in either drink. As any of these do. You can order a Manhattan with that too. But I've seen it in both of them. I thought the Bulleit bourbon in an Old Fashioned Manhattan really worked well. It's got 68% corn, 28% rye, 4% malted barley. That's 28% rye. I think the rye forwardness really brings out the drink. And definitely Bulleit bourbon has some punch. But my experience has been with the regular one. I reviewed this one, as I said. I thought it was better neat. But I want to see how this Bulleit bourbon barrel strength is in an old fashioned. I think that this one at 121.8 proof and with a 68 corn, 28 rye, 4% malted barley, I think this will give it a lot of punch. So what we're going to do is we are going to put this in an old fashioned and make one up right now. Voila, here it is. I spared you the whole process of watching me make this. Any of the spillage, any of the nonsense, this is the drink. It's all made. I have a circular ice cube right there in a nice circle mold. I sometimes use a square cube. It's 2 ounces of this Bulleit barrel strength. We have half an ounce of simple syrup, a few dashes of Angostura bitters, and this cube. Stir it all up. That's pretty basic. You could have a lot of variations on that. This is mine. Let's give this a nose. Now you got some of the sweetness from the simple syrup coming out of there. Cheers. Whoa, this is bold. This is a bold old fashioned. That's why I'm like, this is something you typically would not see in a restaurant. That's what makes it kind of more fun making these at home. Because typically, unless you specify something, you're going to get one of these 90 or so proof versions. Now, my experience with the regular Bulleit bourbon, it does make a very forward, bold cocktail. I think this works excellent in an old fashioned Manhattan, and that's at the 90 or so proof level. The regular one. This one is bold. Now I've done a few bold old fashions here before. I've done a Maker's Mark cast strength old fashioned. I have done an Old Grandad 114 old fashioned. This, I think, may be the boldest of all of them at 121.8 proof. I think I made a few others also. I did an Old Emmer cast strength. This one, I think, is the highest proof, and I think just even on an even proof level, this would be the boldest. Give us another taste. This almost could be too bold. You know, you want the spirit to be forward, and you want it to come out of the drink and kind of elevated. And as far as how much, that's kind of your, a personal decision on taste. I think this one's really good. I think this is blowing this out of the water. It might be too much, but this definitely is a bold cocktail. So bottom line here is, when you're choosing your spirit for your old fashioned or even your Manhattans, definitely choose wisely. The spirit does matter. This is a spirit forward drink. But whatever you drink, whenever you choose, your decision is the right one. Cheers. Take care. Thanks for watching.